Welcome to the Blanco Wellness Podcast. Thank you for being here. Take a breath, settle in, and let's talk today about one of the most recognizable symbols in human history and what it is actually trying to tell us. The image is familiar to almost everyone. A circle divided into black and white, each half containing a small dot of the other's color. It has appeared on everything from philosophy textbooks to sports logos, which has perhaps made it easier to recognize and harder to actually understand. Because what the symbol is describing is not simply the existence of opposites, it is describing something considerably more nuanced and considerably more useful. The idea that what appear to be opposites are, in reality, complementary, that each contains and depends upon the other, that the relationship between them is the source of all movement and all life, and that the attempt to have one permanently without the other is precisely where suffering tends to originate. In the Taoist understanding, yin and yang are not enemies locked in competition. They are partners in a continuous, dynamic relationship that generates everything that exists. Day requires night, not as its opposite, but as its completion, the condition without which day itself would have no meaning. Activity requires rest, not as its interruption, but as the process through which the capacity for activity is restored and renewed. Strength requires softness, growth requires stillness, expression requires silence. Neither pole of any of these pairs is superior. Neither is the correct one to inhabit permanently. The wisdom is not in choosing one. It is in understanding which is called for in this moment, in this season, and in being willing to move between them without treating either as failure. Nature demonstrates this without argument and without the need for interpretation. The tide comes in and the tide goes out, and the ocean does not consider the outgoing tide a defeat. The tree appears dormant through winter, its surface offering no evidence of vitality, while underground the root system is doing some of its most important work, extending, deepening, building the capacity that will support the spring's growth. The seasons themselves are the clearest demonstration available, each one necessary, each one complete in itself, each one preparing the conditions for the one that follows. None of them apologizes for not being a different season. Human beings are the only part of nature that consistently tries to select a favorite season and live there permanently. The modern world has a clear preference: yang. Activity over rest, production over recovery, forward movement over the necessary pause, certainty over the honest acknowledgement of not yet knowing. Being in a yin state, tired, reflective, uncertain, in need of stillness rather than motion, tends to be experienced as something wrong rather than something appropriate. The person who is depleted tells themselves they should push through. The person who needs quiet tells themselves they are falling behind. The person in a season of genuine healing is often trying to produce evidence of recovery rather than simply allowing it to occur. Yet depletion that is not addressed becomes a more serious problem than the rest that would have addressed it. The body that is never allowed to genuinely recover begins to show the cost. The mind that has no genuine stillness becomes increasingly incapable of the clarity that stillness produces. The person who only gives and never receives, who only acts and never rests, who only pushes and never pauses, moves toward a particular kind of exhaustion that is not resolved by working harder. The yin is not the absence of yang. It is the condition that makes yang sustainable. The small dot of white inside the black half of the symbol and the small dot of black inside the white is the most important detail in the entire image. It is saying, even at the fullest expression of one quality, the seed of the other is already present. At the height of activity, the need for rest is already beginning to form. In the depths of stillness, the impulse toward movement is quietly gathering. This is not a problem to be solved. It is the mechanism of life itself, the continuous cycling that keeps anything genuinely alive from becoming fixed and rigid and ultimately dead. The same principle moves through relationships. The healthiest ones are not fixed in a single pattern, one person always leading and one always following, one always speaking and one always listening. They breathe. They allow both people to occupy both positions, to give and to receive, to be strong for the other and to be held by them, to express and to absorb. The quality that makes this possible is the same quality the yin-yang symbol is pointing toward, a genuine ease with the movement between states, a trust that the current season is appropriate and that the next one will arrive in its own time. As we close today, I want to leave you with a question worth sitting with honestly. Where in your life are you currently out of balance? Not as a judgment, simply as an observation. Are you in a sustained period of yang, pushing and producing and refusing to rest, and beginning to feel the cost of that in ways you have been choosing to ignore? Or are you in an extended yin, waiting and reflecting when something in you knows that a step toward movement is actually what is needed? Neither direction is wrong. Both have their season. The wisdom is simply in being honest about which one you are in, and whether it is genuinely serving you, or whether the balance is asking to shift. Because wellness is not found at either extreme. It is found in the movement between them, in the willingness to rest when rest is what is needed, and to act when action is what is needed, and to trust that the rhythm between the two is not a sign of inconsistency, but the most natural thing in the world. Thank you for being here with me today. Until next time, be well.